Okay, I wanted to get a left side before shot, so here it is. I wanted to get a right side before shot, and here it is. All right, right side lights off, left side lights off. Hopefully you can see the haze. Now I did clean these off one time a while back, but there's still haziness and streaking, and that's why I'm going to replace them. So this is going to be my third headlight replacement. Not for this car, lifetime. Typically when a car gets 15 years old like this one, yeah, you can buy those $20 kits and sand and sand, and clean and sand and clean and sand and coat and sand and spray and coat and do all that stuff. And I've actually done it once on this car. But after a while, especially in a keeper like this one, it's like easier to replace them. And these are even more vicious than the halogen. So, if we look at these guys, we will see that they are retail $523. I spent $358, let's say $359. Also bought a radiator cap, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And so, you know, I've got an $800 bill here. Well, yeah, well, you can buy one of those $20 things and ceramic coat it, but it only lasts a year or two. And what I mean by that is, let's just say you buy one of the cheaper ones. I don't know. You buy a cheaper one and you do it correctly, which is a big deal because if you screw up, you ruin your headlight permanently. So you can sand wrong, you can sand too long, you can sand too hard, you don't clean it well enough, the coating won't stick. You know, there's just so many things that go wrong that they don't tell you about because they're marketing their product. They want to sell it. They don't care if you actually use the damn thing. So what happens is, let's say it lasts a year. So between year 1 and 2, it'll just return to where it was. And then it'll just get worse and worse and worse if that's the tendency. So, you know, you can buy some time. If I was going to sell this vehicle, I might spend the 20 bucks in 3 hours. Don't think it's less than 3 hours. It takes to do both sides and clean them all up and do it right. Or in this particular case, I can just take the bumper off, take the headlights out, replace them with new, and be done with it. Now, I'd like to point out that the vast majority of cars, especially Camrys and even Avalons, have halogen, and they're like $150, $160 for the replacement lens, and so you're talking, you know, $300, maybe with tax, title, tags, and the whole 9 yards. You're talking maybe $350 instead of $800 for the high intensity lights. So, well, it's unfortunate that for cars the bumper is actually a fascia. It's just a covering. The real bumper is behind here. So what we are going to have to do is remove the bumper because the headlight is mounted on this steel brace here, and the bolts are connected to them. And if you look, you'll see that the bumper is flush up against here. So the bumper is flush up against here. You can't see or access the bolts that are holding it down, so we'll have to take off the bumper. Alright, if you have fog lights, you just need to unplug it. You do not need to remove it. Also on Avalons, different from Camrys, you know, you may have a air dam underneath it. I kind of put it on a low ramp so I could lay on the ground and unplug the fog light and take the bottom air dam off, and then we'll go to the wheel well. And looking forward, we have a stay here. I call them rivets. Sometimes they're tree rivets. And so we'll make sure the bumper is free on the bottom. Then also there is a bolt here. We're going to have to move the wheel well panel out of the way to get access to a bolt that's up here. And then it should just pop off. So I'm not going to show you all that. I might talk a little bit about any problems I run into, but I'll show you the hardware, and really it's reassembly that I'll detail more than disassembly. Alright, so here's another difference between a Camry and an Avalon, is it has this air dam up here. So we'll have to remove that. And how do you know that this is not on the Camry? Well, because if you look on the Camry, I was going to replace the radiator cap since it's 15 years old, and I don't know the condition of the rubber. It goes right here, but you don't have access to it. That's right. Got to remove the top cover, the air dam, if you will, just to access the radiator cap, which you shouldn't ever have to access because, you know, in modern vehicles, you have the coolant right here. You don't take the cap off anymore and pour coolant into the radiator. Alright, so I'm going to take the top and bottom cover off, and they have like these tree rivets here. I'm sure that's not factory. As I recall, they were all like broken and whatnot when I was cleaning things up. So I'll pop these aftermarket ones out and take the top panel off, and then get on my belly, actually on my back, and go underneath here. Okay, I have all of the body panel rivets out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It kind of tucks in, so you want to both pull it out, and then you have to get around the hood latch here a little bit, just kind of twist, turn, finagle it, and on camera, off it comes. Another reason I'm not going to film everything is because I'm kind of anal, and see all that dirt and stuff? I'll clean all that up and wash it and all that stuff, so you know that takes time, and I won't include any of that in the video. Let's just say clean it up. And oh, there is my radiator cap. So we will change that guy out before I forget. What is going on here? There we go. So I see 6 more points on the top side I'm going to have to deal with. Looks like I have a bolt, another rivet here, one in the center, which I'll show you right there, and then of course on the other side. Take care of those. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, on the bottom there's an air dam. You should probably be familiar with that if you do oil changes. And it's going to be a 10mm nut a whole bunch of times, and then we'll get that thing off. Okay, in addition to the screws, the metal screws, there was some plastic body panel rivets. There were 3 of them. If you go down the center line of the car, there were 2 on the side and 1 in the middle. I'll show you. And it's actually a 2-piece setup. It's a 2-piece setup. There's my little coolant spill. Here, let me set them down. Alright, like I said, it was a 2-piece setup. I had a plastic rivet here, and 1 in the middle, and the rest were all metal screws. Alright, for the fog light, you press on, oops, my finger's in the way, you press on the wire end here, you press on that tab right there, that lifts this end up, which will unlock it, and then you just pull it out of the way, and now the fog lights are free from wires in the bumper, so when we take off the bumper, we don't have to worry about that, or do we? I do see a stay up here. Need to make sure that's not on the bumper. Oh, that's on the real bumper, not the fascia. So all you have to do is unplug the fog light. And I do have one bolt way up there. I don't know if I can get to it. The original plan was, and I think the instructions are, just to move the wheel well panel out of the way to get access to the bolt. And then you can see where it pops off, those two right there in the center. Unfortunately, I'm holding the light, so I can't really point to them, but they're center screen. You just pull the fascia away from the vehicle and they just pop right out. Okay, got another one up at the top up here. I'm gonna have to access, get that off. It'll give me a little more play. That way I don't have to reach in there. Let's see if I can get my light in there, and I don't have to reach in there and take out the screws there and remove the entire wheel well cover. So anyway, we'll see. Okay, I just ended up, you know, removing it from the fender all the way up to the top, to that upper rivet that I showed you earlier, and that gives me enough room to get access to the bolt in there. Okay, so here's the bolt. Here's my tool on the bolt. All done. There it is. So this side should be free. We'll just pop it out of here like I explained earlier and do the other side. All right, I just banged on the inside here. Just kind of stuck my hand up here and banged on the inside, and off it came. And some little bonus came off with it. I have to make sure I put this on correctly when we put it back together. I think it goes on here. All right. So I think someone's been in here before, because you see this guide right here? Well, when I took the other side off, this piece fell off, and I thought, oh shit, I broke it. Well, so I was extremely careful on this side, and it was broken too. So I don't know if someone's been in here before. It is just so weird that I was so extremely careful and both sides were broken. So I'm going to clean these up and epoxy it, and you know, it's not the end of the world or anything. It's almost more cosmetic. It'll help keep this end up a little bit. You know, it's pivot points where the bolt goes. So anyway, moving on. Okay, I have the panel pieces off. I'm gonna glue them back together. Maybe I broke them, maybe I didn't. Very strange, doesn't matter. But now for the main event. And I'm actually glad I took it off, because it revealed this screw right here. And then I'll look underneath to see if there's any screws under there. I see one here. So we got one on both ends here. So I'm gonna start with those. I've got one up at the top. Where's my hand? There it is. So it looks like I found three so far. One at the top, and then one on this end, and then one on that end. I'll see if I find any more. Okay, we are dealing with three different screws that hold the headlight on, and there's only three. So the plastic one, it's a metal screw that goes into plastic, so you can see that deep thread. That one goes on the top over here. Then the long screw goes down onto the bumper right here on the inside. Long screw on the inside. It's a metal screw that goes into plastic on the top. And then at 90 degrees, On the outside is the short screw. So up at the top here, you need to just kind of pop that out, and now it's free. Now this particular headlight's not going to fall out because all of the wires are still connected. Well, it just might fall out. It'll definitely hang down. Alright, let me caution you, I'm on ramps, so I have a little bit more clearance, but it will definitely hit the ground if you're not careful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the new one and plug it in. Okay, step one, before I even unplug everything and get the new part in position, I'm going to transfer the bulbs. Now you can purchase a new one all assembled, new bulbs and everything, but it's like $1,000. So it's like ridiculous. It like doubles the price. It's crazy. Okay, so I checked all the bulbs and there was only one I didn't like. Let me go down here since the harness is down here. So unplugging it was fairly easy. You know, it just came right off, no problems. I didn't have any issues. Taking the bulbs out, I had to get some pliers on this one to turn it. What you want to notice is that the tabs that are on here, one of them is longer than the other ones, so that when you line it back up, you can see that one of them is larger than the other ones, and you just line that up and turn it. Here, let me film this to show you that it's idiot proof. Oops. So, well, I guess I'm the idiot. But it would not go in but the correct way. Sorry about that. Thought I was going to show you the wrong way. So, whatever. And all the plugs are different, so you won't be able to plug something in incorrectly. So as you can see, all the plugs are different. You won't be able to plug in something incorrectly. Alright, let's do the Xenon on the bench because it's a big deal. See, doesn't come with it. That's where all that high dollar stuff is going to be. So, looks like I'm going to have to reuse the screws and the cover on the original. So I'm going to have to clean all those up. There it is, got to transfer it out. There's the bulb. So let me get this out. Looks like these two screws right here. And we'll move on with life. Okay, you can look on the new connector and see how it locks into place. And you can see that it's just one locking tab right here that I need to pull off the unit. Alright, to take it out, you remove the bulb and then you feed the end up through here. So to replace it, we're just going to move the wire out of the way. We're going to drop it down here. Feed it in here. The box is going to go on here. Our plug is only going to go on one way, right here. And then we'll put the bulb in and lock it down. The lockdown is also these tabs. If you replace bulbs before, you might have noticed these kind of things. You're going to have to fish it through like that probably to finish locking it down. Anyway, you'll see when you get to it. Alright, I'm going to hit my screws up, get the rust off of them. I'm going to use a wire wheel instead of like a wire brush. Alright, let's get this connected. Have 2 screws right here. As soon as I get the wire the way I want it. So I'm pretty sure you can't see it, but the wire routing, I made sure there's this little leg underneath there, right there. I made sure the wiring was looped underneath there so it was below that and captured. And I'll put in my 2 screws. I do see a little bit of dust on there. I'll wash it off. Okay, for the cover, there is a front and back. You see this peg sticking up here. Also, you can see it's almost, the back of this set point is almost parallel. This one's kind of back a little bit. Well, anyway, you can see that that stop point will allow it to go on this way, but if you flip it around the other way, it just, the holes won't line up, it just won't go. That's the reason for that extra space in there, that extra material. So it's a one-way part. All right, looks like I got to go to an 8 in order to get this thing to go all the way down. All right, next we'll get our bulb in here. It says Mercury, Phillips, DR, Watt, 03U, Department of Transportation, Germany, 85126 M601. So it's a pretty intense bulb. All right, the bulb goes on a certain way. See that cutout right there? It's gonna go onto this tab. I'm gonna move this out of the way. There's a little tab right there. So you want to make sure that when you lock it down, the tab, the slot is down, so it'll mate up with this tab down here. All right, let's see if I can get it here. Okay, for reassembly, I recommend putting in the bulb first. See that little notch? In the car, it's going to be up, but we have it upside down, so it's facing down. So it'll only lock in one way. Then you put your locking tabs down. And that is going to be a tight fit, one and then the other. Then your connector shows you which way to lock it. So you can set it on there, lock it down. Then you can put your cover on. Notice there are 2 small ones and 2 large ones. And it's going to go over here to the inside of the vehicle. We just kind of fit it in place till it kind of clicks. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. Click and turn. I know it's difficult to see black on black, but there's an arrow going that way. It was in the car like this. So I'm going to replace it like that, and boom. That's all you need. It'll keep going around and around and around if you want it to. Alright, for reassembly, we'll just connect all of our wires. Make sure nobody's crossed, and then we'll set it in place. Alright, I'm ready for installation. Everything is hooked up, and all you have to do is get the headlight to go over top this area here where the top screw goes on, and that'll hold it. So I'll just get that in place. Also, an important detail is to make sure the fender lines up correctly so that when you put it in place, it's all within the top fender here. Now we'll put our 3 screws back in. And they are the plastic screw goes on top. That is the very coarse thread one. Then the short one is going to go on the side here. And then the longer one that kind of looks like a shoulder screw, that will go over here. Do not ever do body work without extra body panel rivets. I call them rivets. I think they're called rivets. I don't know. But the main thing is have plenty on hand. Okay, for this guy, I mean, I do see that's busted off. I don't know what the heck happened. It's like someone's been in here before. It wasn't me, I'd admit it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tape just around the edge here so I don't have to fight that thing when the bumper keeps hitting it. So just some reassembly helper's aid. Alright, I glued my pieces back on, so I'll stick those on the side and go over there. That was easy. Got one screw up front here. The silver one. Alright, and the fender screw goes up in here that holds the bumper on this side. Alright, let's hang the bumper on. Looks pretty easy. Maybe. Alright, that wasn't so bad. It's just a matter of making sure I don't do any damage to the new headlights, like scratching them. You can see this is still out. Just kind of hung it here and in the middle and on the end, and then made sure the two sides were up and in their respective positions. And you can take digital pictures if you need to, but typically the screws are pretty easy to figure out. Because, you know, it was just the plastic fender rivets and then metal screws, and you can see that the screws have a threaded area that it goes into. See, they don't go into plastic, it goes into metal, and then the rivet part will go on here to keep the cover on. So it's pretty straightforward. Plus, if you kept your hardware organized, it'll help you a lot too. All right, the sides of the fenders look pretty easy to take care of. Just kind of push on the front, push on the side. I just, you know, because I glued this area, I don't want to, you know, hurt it. Just pops into place, and I got a screw that's going to go up here, and it's a plastic screw, meaning that it's a metal screw that goes into plastic, so it has that real coarse thread texture to it. Alright, once the screw's in place, you want to hold your fender so that it's flush or as straight as possible. And you can tuck your wheel well back in here. Got a couple of rivets to go in there. The original ones were of a high quality, so I'll just reuse those. So just do this fun stuff here. Okay, it was easier to get in than get out, so the wheel well paneling is behind this keeper here, and we'll put that pop rivet back in there. Alright, the wheel well's in place. Don't forget it goes behind this rivet stay right here. This was the one that looked like a flathead screwdriver goes in there. Looks like a flathead screw type of thing. And we'll just stick that guy in there. If I can line everything up. and keep going. So this is what I mean by body panel parts, you know, these rivets I call them. You can see that 3 of these are broken and 1 is not. So, you know, the one end might be good, but you can see this one's deformed. So when it's pressed in, it might not expand out again and hold in place. So, you know, just have plenty of body panel parts available. So these are called rivet trees, as I recall. I think I'm correct. You know, the ones one-time use, you know, you push them in. When you try and take them out, usually the cap breaks off and you just push it through and the plastic goes into Never Never Land. So anyway, I mean, I'm calling all of these one-time use. Yeah, they're just deformed or otherwise busted. Okay, almost done. I washed off the panels. Still has some soap on it. I don't care. It's going on the bottom. So as soon as the panels are dry or I wipe them off, I will put them on the bottom and be done. And there is the new headlight. So, I plugged in the fog lights too, just to say I did it. That is a big difference. Let me get the other one. And there we go. So my wife says the new ones look like they don't even have a lens in front of them. Yeah, so, and I kind of wanted to come around a little bit because it almost looks like the top one, the old one, has like lights on, but it's just glare. So, old and new. Excellent. Maybe that'll be my thumbnail. Perfect. Thank you for watching.